Well, maybe the third debate will be better. I'm Charlie Sykes. Sunday Insight starts right now. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Insight. In the week that was, an ugly campaign gets even uglier. Lewd tapes, renewed allegations of sexual misconduct, more WikiLeaks leaks, and a parade of allegations of groping. Welcome to 2016. But we start with a new and rather dramatic poll of voters here in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton widened her lead over Donald Trump in the latest Marquette University law poll, which found her up 7 points over the Republican nominee, 44% to 37% in a four-way race. But the poll also seemed to reflect the impact of that Access Hollywood video in which Trump bragged about grabbing women. The poll was taken from Thursday through Sunday. Trump appeared to have a 1-point lead among likely voters after surveys were complete on Thursday. But Trump's losses were particularly damaging among women and evangelicals. The poll was completed before last Sunday's contentious debate and before Trump lashed out at Speaker Paul Ryan, calling him a weak and ineffectual leader, after Ryan said he would no longer defend Trump and would focus on saving the GOP majority in the House. On Friday, when that video was released, Clinton had a 6-point lead. Voters surveyed last Saturday and Sunday favored Clinton over Trump by a stunning 19 points, 49 to 30. Joining me on our panel this morning, the Milwaukee Community Journal's Michael Holt, former State Representative Michelle Litchens, political strategist Linda Bruin, and research fellow with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, Colin Raw. So that looked like a cratering. That looked like a meltdown. Is Wisconsin still in play for Donald Trump?
I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And what you did see over the 3 days was a significant loss in Trump's support. When you look at the top line numbers, it looks to me like Hillary Clinton's numbers are pretty stable, but Donald Trump is definitely losing. If you're looking for a silver lining, I guess Trump could win those voters back in the next 3 weeks, but it's certainly looking out of reach.
Oh, okay. So why is he coming back here tomorrow? I mean, given the fact, in order to win this election, he's got to win. He's got to win in Florida. He's got to win in North Carolina. He's got to win in Pennsylvania and Ohio. Why is he here?
Well, again, this is a state that he thinks he can win, but I think the polls are showing that it's going to be out of reach here soon. He should be spending his time in probably those 3 states anyways, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Okay, so we don't know what the numbers would be after Sunday. And, of course, you had the debate Sunday night, but then you had the blow-up with Paul Ryan where he's attacking Paul Ryan. Any way that turns into an upside for Donald Trump going after one of the most popular Republicans in Wisconsin? It's hard to imagine it being an upside here in the state of Wisconsin. It might be other places, but here in Wisconsin, Paul Ryan is still one of the most top popular Republicans.
Okay, give me your sense about why that video made so much difference. I mean, I think about all of the times we've said, well, that's going to hurt Donald Trump. Well, you know, he's insulted Mexicans, he's insulted POWs, he's said this, he said that, and nothing has affected him, nothing has moved the needle. Why did that Access Hollywood video have such an impact on him here in Wisconsin?
Because it's disgusting. And there are women in everyone's family. Every man has a mother, possibly a wife, a daughter, a sister, or whatever. And women in this matter in these elections, both as an electoral vote themselves, but also to the men in their lives. And I think everyone's looking at that and saying, oh my God, this has just gone way too far. We don't want someone with that type of
Well, how do you respond to people who will say, well, yes, but then why would you support, you know, Bill Clinton's wife to be president of the United States? Yes, he talks about it. He's engaged in this disgusting behavior, but Bill Clinton is as bad or worse.
Well, I'm not sure I consider him worse than the stuff we're hearing about Trump and the stuff I think we're going to continue hearing about Trump. But even if he is, the bottom line, that's not been, that's an alleged. But the bottom line with it is that, you know, this is another sexist issue here. Bill Clinton is not running for president. Hillary Clinton is running for president. And that's to blame the wife for the actions of the spouse is sexist.
Okay, Trump's response, of course, was to go nuclear, bringing the victims of Bill Clinton to the debate. He's obviously doubled down on this. He's made it clear if there's more stuff that comes out, they're going to go after the Clintons. Is that an effective strategy to blunt this, Michelle?
No, I don't, because people have accepted what Bill Clinton did. It was some time ago. That is old news. This is now very new news. And you know, you had talked with Lynn about other things that he had done in the past. Why were people not so appalled with what he did to Megyn Kelly and, you know, the Gold Star family and everyone else? This is something, I think, to Lynn's point, that we can touch, we can see. We heard exactly what he said, and he was so crude about it that it's someone, I mean, it's something that now we had a number of elected officials then just say, I can no longer support this guy.
How will this play out if there are other shoes that drop? And
well, there will be.
As of this taping, I've lost track of the number of women. There are more women coming out. So is there some breaking point at which other Republicans, remember, you know, the last Saturday, you had a lot of Republicans were unendorsing him, and then that sort of stopped after the debate.
Right.
Is there some other shoe, some other point where the party goes, okay, we can't embrace this?
We are going to continue to see things come out about Donald Trump, but I think the difference is going to be whatever comes out about Hillary Clinton. The news this week should have been about pay for play, right? With
but
Hillary
it's not.
Clinton. But it's not. So if we have more WikiLeaks come out, there's a possibility that could take over the news
how many
cycle.
Republicans are going to stand with him? Because I mean, the Democrats are raising the ante on this. The Michelle Obama speech was incredibly powerful. Barack Obama is making it very clear that he is going to pivot on this and saying to the Republicans, you built this, you are responsible for this.
So it all depends on how much they hate Hillary Clinton. We saw the poll numbers in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton and across the country. People are falling off with Donald Trump, but they are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Michael Holt.
I think those who have supported Donald have now run out of excuses. I mean, you could try to justify all of the rest of this, but when it comes down to groping other women, and it, you know, there's another press conference on Friday.
They will say Bill Clinton is worse. That's what you'll hear from the Trump supporters.
But as Lynn said, oh, you know, Bill, we know Bill, but his wife is running, and she's the victim in all this. So you have a woman standing up there, and you have Donald attacking her doing all these debates, and then these revelations come out. So people are seeing the real Donald Trump.
I just
and you have to run from him.
I just don't see how this dark turn that he's taken and going scorched earth is going to raise his positives in any way. Maybe he doesn't think that's necessary, but he is deeply underwater with women. He's deeply underwater with independents, and he may not be losing much of his support, but you know he's down in the in the 30s right now. So he may not have a floor, but he's certainly affecting his ceiling here.
And so where is that vote going now? If it's leaving Donald, it's not going to go for Hillary. So where's the vote going?
Well,
Is people just going to stay home?
I mean, I do think the question to keep in your mind is how much of a stain is going to rub off on down ballot Republicans if they continue to try to defend all of this. What is your glass half full? What is your glass half empty? Let's go around the table. We'll start with you, Michael Holt.
Well, my glass is turned over this week. I have mixed emotions about Charlie's decision to cut the microphone umbilical cord. The best compliment I can provide is that both friends and foes will miss him. His unique analysis and his insight. It's taken me 23 years to get my friend to see things my way. But instead of coming over to the dark side, he decides to head into the sunset.
Yeah, more work to do there. Michelle Litchens.
Well, my glass is half empty because Ably refused to fix just one of the failing schools in the city of Milwaukee. But it's half full because legislators who want kids to graduate from high school aren't going away, and if MPS won't fix their failing schools, the state will find a way to fix them.
Linda Bruin.
Well, my glass is half full because Donald Trump probably won't become president. But it's half empty because Trump has inflamed and legitimized the racist, sexist, and hyper-conspiracy beliefs of millions of Americans.
Colin Roth.
My glass is half full because a new survey shows better than 60% of millennials support school vouchers and charter schools. It's half empty because those millennials overwhelmingly vote for the party that opposes school choice.
Well, my glass is half empty because this has become the ugliest presidential campaign in modern history. It's half full because it's over in 23 days, right? It will be over right now. Sunday Insight Countdown shows that we are just one day away from Donald Trump's scheduled visit to Green Bay. The final debate between Trump and Hillary Clinton is 3 days away. The election is 23 days away, and either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump takes the oath of office in 96 days. We will be right back. The same poll that showed Hillary Clinton widening her lead also showed that Republican Senator Ron Johnson had narrowed the gap with his challenger, former Senator Russ Feingold. Well, last week, the Marquette poll showed that Johnson had moved to within 2 points, which is within the margin of error. Feingold is 48%, Johnson 46%. A recent round of advertising seems to have raised Johnson's favorables And his campaign is now hammering Feingold for his role in passing Obamacare. But let's start with this question. How can Johnson be surging when Donald Trump is fading? And are there voters who will be willing to split their ballots? Linda Bruin.
Well, I think the question on that is yes. I think Republicans are looking at this and saying, you know, we can't stand Trump, but Johnson is not the same ilk as Donald Trump, and therefore we want to save him. I still think Feingold is going to eke it out and win, but you know, Johnson suffered in the early months because most of the Republican Party nationally wrote him off.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they're going, wait a minute, we actually might have, you know,
which means that more money will be coming back in, which will be kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a certain way.
But if the Republicans who are angry about Donald Trump decide to stay home, then Johnson loses from that.
Okay, Michelle, but are there voters who will say, okay, I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton. I don't think she's honest. I'm worried about her. I'm going to hold my nose. But I want to check her by voting for Ron Johnson. Is that a unicorn? Is a voter who consciously wants divided government? Will there be voters like that?
There certainly will be, and we've seen that happen all across the state. In fact, we have at least 8 state assembly reps where they voted for Obama in the district and then they voted for a Republican down ballot. So that's certainly common in the state of Wisconsin. And Ron Johnson, I mean, remember just a few months ago, over 35% of the voters had never heard of him.
Right.
He was an unknown to them. So Feingold's numbers are not going up very much. So clearly those undecided voters are saying that now that they find out about Ron Johnson, they want to vote for him.
Michael Holt.
Yeah, I think the key is Paul Ryan and Reince Priebus channeling that money away from Donald Trump into the campaign. But I agree with Lynn. I don't think that he can overcome these obstacles and beat Feingold. Now, these couple of debates could determine the election. But, you know, last Friday, PolitiFact said that most of their key points of both sides were lies.
Yeah, trust me, the debate will have no effect on the election whatsoever. But part of the fundamental is a Republican has not won a U.S. Senate race in a presidential election year since 1980, so that there's a lot of headwind for Ron Johnson.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult for Republicans to win statewide contests in presidential years. I think Ron Johnson's advantage is he has a very accomplished record in just 5.5 years. He's got a lot to talk about, a lot to sell to the voters, and if voters want a responsible choice, he's it. I think the danger here is that Russ Feingold is going to spend the next 3 weeks tying Donald Trump to Ron Johnson.
Right. I think that Ron Johnson has a really, really good issue in Obamacare. He's got 2 ads up right now focusing on Obamacare. That's a big win for him. This was the issue that got Russ Feingold tossed out of office. Obamacare continues to be a train wreck. On the other hand, you know that you're exactly right. The biggest issue that Russ Feingold has is Donald Trump. You're going to be hearing that a lot. Now, you may not want to hear this, but we'll tell you anyway. We'll hand out some unsolicited advice. Michael Holt, you are first.
Well, mine is to MPS. Don't get giddy. Although changes in the state law governing failing schools has stopped external oversight, don't let your guard down. In fact, I suggest you ramp up reforms and work with any and every group offering assistance.
Michelle.
Well, to Donald Trump, consider spending some more time in the states you need to win, like Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina, instead of Wisconsin, which even if you do win, will only give you 10 electoral votes.
Linda Bruin.
Milwaukee County residents, if you don't want a $60 county wheel tax, contact your supervisor and attend the county's budget hearing this Tuesday, October 18th at 9 a.m. at the Milwaukee Public Schools Administration Building on Valete.
Colin Roth.
My advice is to tune into WTMJ from 8:30 until noon from now until the end of the year, because you're going to miss hearing Charlie Sykes on the air next year.
Well, some people will. Well, my unsolicited advice is to Republicans. Look, the presidential race is over. It's lost. Focus now on limiting the damage to the Senate and the House. Don't double down on defending the indefensible. Fight to elect the other actual conservatives on the ballot. Next on Sunday Insight, the complicated relationship between the nation's top-ranking elected Republican and his party's nominee for president. The most complicated bromance ever, the off and on again alliance between Donald Trump and Paul Ryan, seems to be off again last week. Ryan abruptly disinvited Trump from a joint appearance here after the Access Hollywood video surfaced. Last Monday, he told his colleagues that he was done defending the nominee. Trump reacted, well, he was Trump, by lashing out at the speaker, repeatedly attacking Ryan as weak and ineffectual and saying he wouldn't even accept his endorsement. Now, to say this is unprecedented is putting it mildly. The nominee of a political party in open civil war with the most powerful congressional leader of his party, but it also raises the question, what should Ryan do now? Now, as of this taping, he hasn't rescinded his endorsement, should he? Michelle Lichens.
Okay, the best analogy I heard is that Paul Ryan is standing in the middle of a hurricane with an umbrella.
Yep.
And that is where he is at right now. Paul Ryan, his focus is to keep a majority.
Right.
He has a 60-vote majority right now in Congress. And he is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. So he's in a very difficult place to be in right now.
But there's also the longer game, you know, when this is all over amid the ruins and he's standing up there, you know.
Well, and also the people, if he denounces Trump, he will lose, or if he doesn't, if he denounces Trump, the people that are more likely to lose are people that are not the really hard right conservatives, and so he's going to lose a lot of his more moderate support in Congress if he
But
does
it's an awkward
Trump.
situation to basically say, you know what, Donald Trump is too creepy to stand next to me on the stage in Elkhorn, but let's make him the commander-in-chief.
Everyone said, and from
you make
his
me
other
sick,
side
but let's make
is
him the
that
most powerful man in the country.
He's not Hillary Clinton, and that's the only reason people are going to be voting for him.
Michael Holt.
Well, you know, sometimes you put principle before politics. Now, he needs to take that next step and just pimp slap Donald. Just pimp slap him. Say, I'm not taking this stuff, and you're not good for the country, and we're going to focus on Congress. You know, you may as well go over.
You know what hurts him the worst is doing what he's doing right now, which is trying to have it both ways. I think he really does have to pick one side or the other. And frankly, I think he needs to unendorse Mr. Trump and
that's what I just said.
I know, I'm totally
Okay,
agreeing.
Colin.
I'm just not saying it as carefully.
Yeah, I don't think he's just trying to straddle two icebergs that are going in different directions, and I think this is very, very difficult for him. I wish he would unendorse Trump, but I understand where he is. That what you identified, though, will be the problem going forward, is that he's going to have lost a lot of goodwill among conservatives who don't support Trump. He's going to lose a lot of supporters of Trump anyways. I fear that his next year and his speakership is in jeopardy just because they're going to make his life hell.
I mean, he made a bet and a calculation that hasn't played out. You know, he made the calculation that maybe Donald Trump would pivot and run as a conservative, and as an adult, that's not going to happen.
Right.
He's hoping that if he worked on policy, that he could get a President Trump on board who would sign this legislation. In fact, all the Republicans who have said, well, okay, elect Donald Trump president, and he won't be involved in policy. He'll be making, putting all the gold faucets in the White House and everything. And Mike Pence and Paul Ryan will run the government. Well, on Sunday night, he throws Mike Pence under the bus. Monday, he basically says, he doesn't want anything to do with Paul Ryan. So it does raise the question: how do you think a Trump presidency would work? How would he get legislation through? What exactly is the vision? And do Trump supporters would they really rather see Nancy Pelosi as Speaker than Paul Ryan?
It's a very, very good question. I don't think we're going to see a Trump presidency, but if it were to come to fruition, I think the point is that Donald Trump doesn't play well with those who disagree with him, and that's kind of where, on issues from trade and the economy and to Donald Trump's more authoritarian instincts, I think you would see a very, very difficult relationship.
But let's absolutely give him the nuclear codes. What is it you don't get? Let's go around the table. Michael Holt, you're first.
Well, what I don't get is why former President Bill Clinton keeps creating controversy 3 weeks before the election. His criticism of Obamacare and throwing Bernie Sanders under the bus for supporting his racist 1994 crime bill is just dumb politics and ill-timed.
Michelle Lichens.
Charlie, I don't get how Republicans in Wisconsin who know Paul Ryan can criticize Ryan because he calls a spade when Trump says something indefensible. I don't get it.
Linda Bruin.
I don't believe the conspiracy theory that Paul Ryan leaked the Access Hollywood tape to hurt Trump. A better theory is that the leak came from Trump himself. He's so proud of his sexual assaults, I'm sure he wanted everyone to know. Besides, Trump doesn't actually want to be president.
Colin Roth.
What I don't get is if you believe Juanita Broderick and Bill Clinton's accusers, why don't you believe Donald Trump's accusers? And, of course, vice versa.
Yeah, standards. Well, in addition to their political jobs, Russ Feingold and Elizabeth Warren have both been overpaid college professors. Feingold pocketing more than $450,000 from colleges and universities. Warren pulling down $430,000 a year from her last gig at Harvard. So what I don't get is how anyone would take them seriously when they say they are worried about why college is so expensive these days. We'll be right back, right after your morning news update. Well, as most of you probably know, I announced last week that I was stepping down from my daily radio show and this television show at the end of the year. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work here. It's also been an extraordinary privilege to be part of all the changes that have taken place here in Wisconsin over the last 2 decades. So this is not a decision that I made either lightly or recently, and it was, believe it or not driven by this year's political season. My father died when he was 63, and I'm going to turn 62 this year, so this year's always been circled in my calendar. Frankly, if I was ever going to make a move, it was now. 23 years is an awful long time to do a radio show and a Sunday show like this, and most hosts don't get to go out on their own terms, so I'm lucky to have had that chance. Now, I know a lot of people will assume that my decision has something to do with this current campaign. The reality is I made the decision a long time ago, but it would also be fair to say this campaign has made the decision easier. The conservative movement has been badly damaged, and obviously the conservative media is broken as well. So this is a good time to step back, sit down for a while, and ask, what the heck just happened here? In the meantime, we're all still here, and we'll be with you through December. And that includes tomorrow morning on 620 WTMJ from 8:30 until noon. Have a great week.